If you happen to grow up in the 1970s, your brain was forged during a really unique time, what some are calling a rare evolutionary window. It was a totally different world for a kid. And today, we're going to break down the psychology of what made that era and the people who came out of it so distinct. Let's dive in.
And man, this quote just nails it, doesn't it? We grew up on hose water, we were feral, and it was glorious. You hear that kind of thing all the time from this generation. It's like this shared memory of a wild, fantastic childhood. So this all begs the real question, right? What was it about the 70s that made it so special? And maybe more importantly, what did that kind of upbringing actually do to your brain? All right, so first up, let's look at this environment, this rare evolutionary window. What defined it was this amazing mix of two things. On one hand, you had total freedom, but on the other, you had genuine responsibility. You know, because of that experience, most people who grew up in the 70s look at how things are now and, well, they just have to laugh. But it's important to note, this isn't a mean laugh. It's the laugh of someone who knows they got to experience something that you just can't recreate today. So what did this unique environment actually create? Well, that brings us to a really crucial skill, the art of self-entertainment. This is all about finding and forging your own purpose when there was, well, nothing else going on. There's actually a psychological term for this, self-directed problem solving. Basically, it's the ability to make up your own fun, to create your own activities without anyone telling you what to do. And what's amazing is that research shows this leads directly to stronger executive function and way more creativity as an adult.
And this wasn't some abstract thing you just picked up. Oh no. It was actively taught with a phrase that I bet every single 70s kid heard a million times. Go find something to do or I'll find something for you to do. And you knew exactly what that meant, chores. So you learned to get creative fast.
So how did you invent your day? You didn't have a schedule packed from morning till night. You had to fill all that empty time yourself. That's why so many people from that era remember just devouring books, or getting on a bike and exploring for hours with no destination, building forts out in the woods, and ultimately mastering what it felt like to be truly independent. And this gets to the absolute core of it. 70s kids learned a lesson that we've almost completely forgotten today, that boredom is not an emergency. It's not some crisis that needs to be solved with a screen. It's actually the empty space where creativity is born. And if you want to see just how different that brain wiring is from today, get this. A recent study found that people would rather give themselves mild electric shocks than just sit alone with their thoughts for 15 minutes. Can you imagine? To someone who grew up inventing entire worlds in their backyard, that idea is just wild. Okay, so that's the mental side. But what about the physical? That brings us to our next idea, developing a sense of calm in the middle of chaos. And you did that by learning about risk not from a lecture, but by actually living it. The fancy psychological term for this is adaptive risk calibration. All that really means is your nervous system learns how to tell the difference between something that's truly dangerous and a risk that's manageable. It's like your internal alarm system gets tuned perfectly, but the only way to do that is through direct, hands-on experience.
Think about it like this. Riding bikes without helmets, falling out of trees, getting scrapes and scars. That was your internet. That was your data stream. Every single scraped knee and close call was a tiny piece of information that taught your brain the real, physical rules of the world.
And the payoff for that kind of upbringing as an adult is huge. We know that kids who get to experience physical risk develop better threat assessment and just have lower anxiety in general. You learn how to stay calm and solve problems when things get crazy, while other people might panic. And all those scars, they weren't seen as failures. They were medals of honor, and every single one had a story.
Okay, so we've covered self-reliance and risk. Now let's talk about something that's almost completely disappeared from our world, the power of waiting. We're going to look at the incredible benefits of growing up in a purely analog world. Let's call this analog patience. It's just a deep-seated comfort with delayed gratification. It's a muscle that got trained every single day by a world that had absolutely no instant access to, well, anything. I mean, think about the training you went through without even knowing it. Your favorite show was on once a week at a very specific time. No binging. You wanted to take a picture? You used a film camera. Then you had to wait days for it to get developed, just hoping the pictures came out okay. And here's the thing. That wasn't just an inconvenience. It was training. Study after study on delayed gratification shows the same thing. People who learn to wait have better impulse control, they have stronger relationships, and they're more successful in their careers. You basically developed an immunity to the constant pull of right now. So when you put all these pieces together, the self-entertainment, the risk-taking, the patience, what do you get? You get our final section, feral, free, informative. This is all about how that unsupervised freedom literally wired your brain.
We can call this unsupervised autonomy wiring. Really, it's just a way of saying your brain built its framework on a foundation of freedom and self-reliance. And that foundation is what fosters really strong internal motivation and solid decision-making skills later in life. And if you had to boil that entire childhood down to one single rule, it would be this: be back before the street lights come on. That was it. No GPS trackers, no hourly check-in texts. It was a simple statement of trust. Your parents trusted you to be competent enough to handle the world on your own.
What's so interesting is how we can reframe these traits. Through a modern lens, some might see a 70s kid's independence as coldness, but the reality was, it was competence. What might look antisocial was actually a capacity for depth and quiet thought. And what could be mistaken for apathy was really a deep internal discipline. So we'll end with this thought. You survived a childhood that, let's be honest, would probably get parents arrested today. But the thing is, it didn't damage you. It built you. You were part of this tiny window in history where being a kid was both totally free and deeply formative. A world that we may never ever see again.